Good morning. This is Sherry Heil, and this is Be an Idealist, where I talk about how to make your ideal life or how to create your ideal life. Sponsored by Amplified Concepts. You could find more about Amplified Concepts at the link below. Today, I'm going to do something I rarely do, which is curse. I want us to talk about how, in order to create an ideal life, we have to stop the bullshit. What is the bullshit? Bullshit is things that have been put on us and in our minds and in our society. I'm not here to attack anybody and say you need to stop your excuses, things like that. No, this is about things that have been put on you that you need to stop. The first one is when they told you who you are based on your gender. And there's a lot of talk about this now, which is great. I'm in my 40s. I won't say how old. And so I've seen the changes. I know anybody older than me has drastically seen the changes too, but I've seen the changes and lived through the changes that we've gone through over the decade as far as gender roles and gender identities. And I do think there's still a lot to be accomplished in this area. But I remember it was 15 years ago, I was in a job and I was told, oh, you're a woman, so you're really good at makeup and you're really interested in shopping. Two things I'm not into and not interested in. I've been told that women aren't good in math, and I know that's a big stereotype. I actually can do math. Women are great at socializing and networking, but they're not really the deal closers. They're not the ones who are going to lean in and do the hard negotiating. You hear a lot of this. On the flip side, when our children were younger, my husband and I co-parented, as you should do, and there would be times when my husband was out alone, just him with our baby, and people would say things like he was babysitting, or would try to give him advice that he needs to put a sweater on the baby. Or at one time when he was at the beach with my oldest son and playing in the ocean, a woman said, your wife lets you do that? And he looked at her and said, I'm the parent here, which yay for him. So that's one of the things, is when we look at different roles society puts on us because of who we were born, whether it was male, female, or anything else we were born as, society tends to put these roles on us. We got to stop the bullshit, take those roles off of us, and decide who we are and what we want to create our ideal life. The second thing that I hear a lot of and see a lot of people fall into is the schedule society gives us. You're born, you go through school, you go to college. If you're of a certain economic situation, you go straight to college, then you get married, you get your job, you get married, you get a house, you have children, and you retire. That's your schedule. Follow that schedule, you'll be great. Not many people can follow that schedule. A lot of people haven't followed that schedule. Things get chaotic. They think that they're not following the plan that they're supposed to be following, and they have breakdowns. I see it all the time. I had my own breakdown in my 30s, and my therapist actually told me, oh, everybody has a breakdown in their 30s. And the reason is we're given this schedule that we think we have to follow, and we're trying to follow it when we're in our 20s. And when things don't work out, either because we're not meeting the schedule or the schedule's not the right fit for us, in our 30s, we have a breakdown. So if you're in your 30s, welcome to your breakdown decade. Schedules don't matter. You're going to change every day. I forget what the numbers are, but we are a different person. Something like every 7 years or something, we're a completely different person. So why do we need to follow the schedule? If you want to go to school when you're 50, go to school when you're 50. If you never want to get married, don't get married. If you never want to have kids, don't have kids. I always joke that my husband and I did things really backwards. We, what is it? You're supposed to finish college, get married, and then get pregnant. I got pregnant, got married, finished college. So we did it backwards. And it's worked out perfectly fine for us. I hear kids all the time thinking about how they need to get in this great school right out of high school. And I'm like, why? I went to community college for 2 years and then graduated from Florida State. If you ask me where my degrees are from, it's from Florida State University. You don't need to know that I went, what my first 2 years are. Why do we put all this pressure on ourselves and on others that they have to follow this exact schedule, and there's no ways to just kind of flow and figure things out along the way and decide what we want to do? So stop the bullshit of this life schedule. Nobody needs to tell you what your schedule of your life is. This next stop the bullshit is the one I think that's really tearing our country apart, and it tears us apart inside. And that's the stop the identity with groups bullshit. So if it's a religion, if it's a politics, it's any other groups, it's like, well, I'm part of this group, so I must think this way. Or vice versa, I must think this way because I'm part of this group. Stop the bullshit. You are you. You can still be part of the group, but you don't have to follow in line with how those people think. Figure out what you want to do in your life and who you are, and stay solid to that. You don't have to be like, well, I'm a socialist, so I must think this way. I'm a Republican, I must think this way. Be you. I just watched a George Carlin video to get kind of psyched up for this video. It was something George Carlin, I forget what the title was, but he was talking about the bullshit of proud to be American, proud to be Irish, proud to be, whatever it may be, and that's the bullshit, because you should be proud of your accomplishments, not about what group you were born into. And, that once again, I think George Carlin hits it on the nose. The other inspiration for this video was a Hidden Brains podcast called Bullshit Jobs. So if you're in a bullshit job, you need to stop the bullshit there, because that's really going to hold you back in creating your ideal life. Highly recommend that a podcast if you could find it, listen to it. Hidden Brains, Bullshit Jobs, might be under BS Jobs. But bullshit jobs are, do you feel like you're contributing to the team? And do you feel like you're contributing to the world? A lot of people are like, well, here's my job. I'm making all this money. I'm making great money, but I'm not contributing, and it's soul draining. If it's soul draining, if it's draining your soul, I don't care what your bank account looks like. You're not living your ideal life. The other thing is it taking too much of your time than what's needed? And this is one of the reasons why I'm a big believer in freelancing and the freelance revolution, is because when you're a freelancer, you can charge for the value of your contribution no matter how much time it takes. And you don't have to sit there and web surf because, somebody says you're supposed to be on the clock even though your work's done. There's a great story on that podcast, on the Hidden Brains podcast, of a group of boys who got a job, summer job, at a restaurant doing dishes. And on their first busy day, they got all psyched up and said, let's, really do this awesome job. So all the dishes came back to the kitchen. They worked really hard, competed with each other, got all the dishes done really quickly. And then they were just hanging out and talking. Well, the manager comes back and says, what are you guys doing? And they're like, oh, we got the dishes done. Everything's done. Everything's clean. And the manager said, no, you're on my time. You need to do some more work. Scrub the cabinets, scrub this, scrub that. Well, the boys quickly realized, oh, why should we have worked that hard if all we're going to have to do is do more work? So never again did they work that hard to get the dishes done really quickly. And so many of our jobs are shaped that way. If you do a really good job, then more is going to be expected of you, but that doesn't mean you're going to get more out of that job. And that's why I really think that jobs should be shaped of what's your contribution, what's the value for that contribution. You get paid for that, not paid for the time that you're on the clock. So I think that's bullshit. And I have experienced that. I found that soul draining, a waste of my time. And so I think that, if it's draining your soul and it's a bullshit job, you need to stop it. The final one is stop the people around you that's wearing you down. People who are going to give you promises all day long that they're not going to follow through with it. Stop it. People who devalue what you have to offer, who want to pay less or contribute less than what you're giving, stop it. Get rid of them. People who want to leech off of you, who really look up to you and they want to be successful too, and their way of being successful is to try to leech onto you and drain you from your energy and drain your time. Stop it. So those are some of the things you need to stop in your life. If you're going to create your ideal life, you got to stop the bullshit that's in your life. Stop what society's telling you who you are or who you should be. Stop the timeline somebody else has imposed on you. Stop the jobs that are soul draining, and stop the people who are draining you and devaluing you. Get that out of your life. Stay focused on who you are, what you want to be, what you want to accomplish, and create that ideal life. Hope that helps. Have an ideal day.